You're listening to CFRN, a community of believers who trade for a living. To learn more about who we are, what we do, and how we do it, call toll-free 1-866-928-3310, and we'll send you out a no-obligation information kit absolutely free. 866-928-3310. The CFRN Emini Futures Cast is now on Stitcher. Listen to us on your iPhone, Android phones, BlackBerry, and WebOS phone. Stitcher is smart radio for your phone. Find it in your app store or at Stitcher.com. Stitcher Smart Radio, the smarter way to listen to radio.
Are you ready, Steve? Andy? Yeah! Bert? Well, all right, fellas. Let's go!
You're listening to CFRN, the Christian Financial Radio Network.
Today's broadcast is brought to you by Audible. Get a free audiobook download at www.audibletrial.com/CFRN. Over 85,000 titles. Choose from mystery, romance, religion, science, technology, business, New York Times bestsellers, even children's books. You name it, Audible has it. With 85,000 titles to choose from, you're sure to find the perfect audiobook for yourself or to give as a gift, and it's absolutely free. Just point your browser to audibletrial.com/CFRN. That's audibletrial.com/CFRN. And become a part of the audiobook revolution by downloading your free audiobook today. audibletrial.com/CFRN.
Hey, trader, want to get rich quick? Well, good luck with that. If, on the other hand, you actually want to learn how to trade, the place to be is www.cfrn.net. Tune in Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Eastern for our daily devotional, and then spend the next 3 hours learning how it's done from professional traders who actually trade for a living. That's www.cfrn.net. Every trading day from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern. CFRN, a community of believers who trade for a living.
Good afternoon, traders, and welcome back to the CFRN Emini Futures Cast. This is the daily broadcast of Indeterminate Length, where we discuss all things Emini, along with some really big ideas on the finer points of trading gold, bonds, crude, sugar, the euro, and even T-bills. Joining us today from our studios in Boston, Mr. Michael Borth. From our trading desk in Chicago, Mr. Burton Schlichter. Now, to get things started, let's go to our host and founder in Studio A, overlooking South Mountain, America's largest city park. Here's Dwayne.
Good afternoon. Welcome back. Today is Tuesday, 26th day of June, 2018. Hope you're having a great Tuesday, whoever you are, wherever you are. Glad you've joined us, though. Thanks for being here. If you're returning, welcome back. If you are here for the very first time, a special welcome to you. We're glad to have you with us. Now, I have a chart up of the S&P 500 Emini Futures. If you can't see the chart, you won't see any of the charts throughout the entire show. So, fix that by going to CFRN.net. On the right-hand side of the page, click the big microphone, follow the instructions. 30 seconds, you'll be registered through the end of the month. You only have to register once per month, but you do have to register once per month. Okay, enough of that. I assume that by now you can see the chart. And we've got an inside day cooking. This was yesterday's carnage. Now, it doesn't look quite so bad because of the way I have it scaled at the moment. But we can fix that. We can make it look as absolutely horrific as it did yesterday. You know? A lot of times when you load up your platform, whatever platform you have, even though you saved your workspace or desktop or whatever they call it there, it will scale differently. Don't ask me why. But historical observance tells me. And so sometimes I'll start and I'll go, man, this doesn't look right, it doesn't feel right. And scaling makes a huge difference. Now the sell-off looks a little more severe. And if you go like that, my goodness, from the top of the screen to the bottom of the screen, and that's a 55-inch screen. So always remember, check your scaling. Just make sure it's what you're, and try to look at, roughly the same scale every day. Because you're learning to do the same thing over and over, day after day. And that is so important, that consistency. And only you can bring consistency to the table, because the market won't. It kind of does the same thing every single day, but it does it every day in a little different way. So you have to be the constant part of the equation. Here I am. These are my tools. These are my rules. And I've committed it to paper, and I don't deviate from it. If you do that, you'll be the 1 in 10 that does do it. And guess what? 9 out of 10 fail. So are you saying? That's exactly what I'm saying. Okay. Alrighty. A new center for blockchain research has been founded by leading computer scientists at Stanford. A wee bit of a big deal. The center will be headed by a couple of professors that I might pronounce their name, but I'd just rather not. It's meant to help scientists develop best practices for the field, as well as create courses to help future students. One of the professors commented, blockchains will become increasingly critical to doing business globally. Stanford should be at the forefront of efforts to improve, apply, and understand the many ripple effects of this technology. Blockchain massively lowers the barriers to creating tradable digital assets. It allows individuals who don't even know each other or even trust one another to make irreversible transactions in a whole variety of fields in a safe and secure way. Stanford. I think that's where Mr. Z, Mark Z, I think he went to school there. Okay. Andreessen Horowitz. You've heard the name. The Menlo Park firm, venture capital firm in Menlo Park, has announced the launch of a 16Z crypto. Okay. A new $300 million venture fund that will invest in crypto companies and protocols. The fund will be led by Katie Hahn. Now listen to who she is. A former U.S. Department of Justice federal prosecutor who worked on the Silk Road case, which sits on the board of directors at Coinbase, as well as taught cybercrime and cryptocurrency at where? Stanford. Yep, not just Stanford, but Stanford Law School. So she's got quite a pedigree. Now, some of you will remember Silk Road. We talked about it in its heyday here on the radio program. We talked about how people would buy all of these illegal items on the dark web, and I took you on a tour one day of the dark web. Go to the Silk Road, you get your drugs, you get your hitmen, you can get sick and twisted stuff as well. Now, I'm trying to think of the gentleman's name. I was just looking at it a minute ago, because this Supreme Court decision could affect his case. There was one guy with a laptop behind Silk Road, which was a multi-$100 million annual business that he ran from his laptop. You've heard me talk about Uber and talk about, they don't own any cars, they don't have employees. It's just some guy in the library of the coffee shop with a laptop. And it's got a $50 billion valuation. Ross Ulbricht, he was the mastermind behind Silk Road, and after much ado, the FBI finally found him. It's a very interesting story. You can find the whole thing on the net. Just Silk Road bust. Now, they arrested Ross without incident in a library in San Francisco. He's been in jail since. I think he was sentenced to life without chance of parole. But now maybe there is a chance with the Supreme Court ruling. Who knows? But back to Katie Hahn, who will lead this $300 million venture fund. She was a federal prosecutor on the Silk Road case, sits on the board at Coinbase, taught cybercrime and cryptocurrency at Stanford Law School. Chris Dixon, a general partner at Andreessen Horowitz, said, "We are long-term patient investors. We've been investing in crypto assets for 5+ years. We've never sold any of those investments and don't plan to anytime soon. We structured this crypto fund to be able to hold investments for 10+ years. We have an all-weather fund. We plan to invest consistently over time, dollar cost averaging, just like we do at Crypto Portfolio Builders. If there is another crypto winter, we'll keep investing aggressively. Regarding possible investment targets, he said, we're focused on non-speculative use case. We want services powered by crypto products to be used by hundreds of millions and eventually billions of people. Crypto tokens are the native asset class of digital networks, but their value is driven by the underlying practical use case." See there? Now, one last thing. 3G Venture, a California-based company, has paid $13 million for a big chunk of an abandoned Intel chip manufacturing complex at the Garden of the Gods Road in Colorado. The owner of the company, John Chin from Los Angeles, reportedly plans to use the facility to mine Bitcoin. But I thought that was over. Remember, we've talked about some numbers and some figures. Is it still profitable to mine at this price? Well, if you can scale, apparently it is, and this is quite the scale. Now, this deal includes 30 acres and over 700,000 square feet spread over several buildings, with Bitcoin mining planned for 3 buildings totaling about 85,000 square feet, and the rest will be leased out to others. Michael Palmer, a broker with Quantum Commercial Group, who marketed the real estate, revealed that the electricity networks installed for Intel's needs were especially alluring for the miner. The complex includes an on-site substation, 2 separate power feeds, and the new owner also asked Colorado Springs Utilities to increase capacity to the site. He said besides that, the location's cheap energy prices have long attracted companies to the area, including for establishing data centers by Progressive Insurance, FedEx, and Walmart. Now, there's a town in New York we talked about earlier in the month that welcomed a new giant mining facility at a former aluminum smelting plant. The main reason for that was the promise of over 150 jobs that were estimated to be added to the local economy. Now it appears there is less enthusiasm about the new industry in Colorado Springs, as they don't expect to create many jobs. You know, the computer does the mining. Once you set it up and turn it on, it just does its job. Dirk Draper, president of the Colorado Springs Chamber of Commerce, said the group didn't seek out the miner and instead just cooperated with him after he showed interest in the Intel complex. Moreover, the Chamber and EDC don't plan to attract any more companies like this. While it is beneficial for some segments of the community to have the large base power users, we understand that and support it, but our focus is more on the employment side. So there you go. My son's bicycle tire. We live close enough to high school that he can ride his bike when he wants, but he had a flat back tire, and somehow the nut had gotten, I couldn't get it off, he couldn't get it off, my wife couldn't even get it off. So we took it to a tire fix-it place. How do I say this politically correctly? I don't know. Anyway, they're open 24 hours, and there's a lot of suspicious characters lurking around, and chances are you probably wouldn't want to be there after dark. So it was twilight when we got there, but there was two of us. The guy, the big boss, the jefe, said, "Yeah, man, you know, bicycle tire." I'm like, it's just a little, you know. And so a guy standing over at the car wash goes, "Hey, I work there. I'm off the clock," except he didn't say it in perfect English, but he said, "I'll fix it." I'm like, well, okay. So we negotiated that if I would park my soccer daddy van at the car wash, they would actually let the fellow come on the property and use the tools to replace the rear tire on the bicycle. This is really a long, crazy story, isn't it? But here's the beautiful part. As we're standing there watching the man skillfully take that nut off that we couldn't get off, and just do a perfect professional job of putting the tube in, the new tire, the whole thing, my son looked at me and goes, "Dad, we just created a job." And I just looked at him and smiled and said, "Yes, son, we did." Tipped my hat. Well, you know, the way I do. And but inside I was jumping up and down, you know. He's starting to get it. Because in essence, that is what we did. It was only a 15-minute job, but it was a job, and the $5 that we paid, the recipient was pretty happy. And so I don't know, we went home feeling pretty good about ourselves. All right, let's look at the numbers around the world. You guys put up with so much, don't you? The Dow is currently up 72 points. The NASDAQ is up 39. S&P 500 is up 10. And the Russell 2000 is up 6. Okay? Now, is this a reversal or is it a dead cat bounce? You haven't heard that in a while, have you? Well, I don't know, maybe you have. Depends on where you hang out. You hang out at the veterinarian? Probably. Okay. So, from the most recent swing high to this swing low, we talked about the 38% retracement yesterday and the importance of that, and we hit it, and we hit it. So good resistance, good resistance, good resistance. This time we showed a little more effort, right? See that wick sticking up above? Followed by a doji here. So imagine, if you will, at one point this candle was green. It was a big green candle. Okay, it's going to break and run to the 50% retracement. But it didn't. And then it dealt us a doji, which means indecision. Candlesticks are a graphic representation of investor sentiment for the time period being studied. It's a 30-minute chart. So, although this looks bearish, red with the wick, I see it as bullish because the bulls put forth their best effort. Yes, they got slapped down, but then at this point I think the sellers got confused because on this doji we closed up near the top where it opened. So the bears did their best, boom, bounced right back up. Now what are we doing? We put in a higher high, but only by a couple ticks. I'm always suspicious of a new high of just a couple ticks. So now we got to wait and see. And the problem there is we're now so close to that 50% retracement. I don't know if you've got sufficient room to run. Well, we'll see what happens when it gets up here. The top of that candle is 31 1/4, and this is 34 and change. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens because we don't know where the next candle is going to open. We wouldn't take action on this candle anyway. We want to wait for the next candle. Okay, we got the U.S. markets covered, and in the commodity basket, here's the deal. Crude oil's up $2. That's over 3%. Trading 70.25 last. Gold, on the other hand, down $6. I heard gold this morning. It screamed, "I've fallen and I can't get up." Got to buy gold, one of those life alerts. Gold down 650, trading 1262.40 last. In the Asian markets, at the close, the Nikkei added almost 4 points. The Shanghai lost 14, and the Hang Seng lost 79. Last but not least, in the European markets, the FTSE at the close up 28 points, the DAX down 35, and the CAC down 2.5. So there you have it, a spot of news, the numbers from around the world. And now hold on to your hats and your seats. Here's Michael, and I don't know what he's overlooking, honestly. But,
I am overlooking the end of the cul-de-sac.
okay. Overlooking America's, is it like roundest, dirtiest, cleanest, fanciest?
Roundest, fancy, crowded with brick homes.
Yeah, we're going to have to work on that.
Thing. Yeah, we'll have to work on that.
Yeah, great guest yesterday we had with us, Dr. Tom Barrett. And so for those of you that might have missed it, you can go to youtube.com/CFRN and you can listen to yesterday's show. He came on at 1 o'clock. We talked about investment grade gold. And you'll notice I didn't toss out any softball questions. You know, I kind of asked him the hard stuff, and he really. I was talking to my wife last night, and she goes, well, "Did you go by the?" Because guys, a little secret in radio, when you have a guest, they send over questions so that you don't end up looking awkward. Well, I kind of strayed way off that list. I think you heard it in Dr. Tom's voice, but I knew he could handle it because he's been doing this for like 30 years. He speaks all over the world. He's a pastor over 7 other pastors, and that's a heavy job. Not something that I've personally done, but I know someone who's in that position, and it can be difficult. But if you didn't go to investmentgrade.gold, it's not investmentgradegold.com, it's investmentgrade.gold. Go there and get that gold starter pack just to get some information, and you'll learn more about what we're talking about. Now, I certainly don't think that investment grade gold should be a large part of your portfolio, but if you believe in diversification, this is certainly something that's not in any way tied to the stock market or to pork bellies or to the price of tea in China or the question, why does rice play Texas? See, these are things that we'll honestly never know. Michael, if you are prepared, I will hit the mute.
I am ready.
I'll hit the mute and
okay.
Something.
Can somebody post something in here really quick? Just post a Y or N if you can. If my audio is good.
Oh, you know what? I read something the other day about the Russell. Now,
thank you.
I'm trying for the life of me to remember. I'm just going to put in Russell Emini and see if it shows up in my news feed. I get most of my news from the Flipboard. You have a Flipboard there, Michael?
I think I do.
It's on like your iPad or something.
Yeah,
it's like a digital magazine. You just swipe through the pages. But when you first run it, it asks you questions about what are you interested in. I'm interested in computers. What about computers specifically? Hacking. Okay, and it holds it in the Flipboard brain. And so when you open your magazine every other hour, it's a brand new magazine filled with brand new articles that there's nothing there that you're not interested in because you told it what you're interested in.
Okay.
Okay, now I gather from the tone in your voice you don't see the significance of that.
No, I do. I get it. It sounds kind of like a cookie that gets stored somewhere, and when you open it up, like if you go to
imagine
Google,
you go to the doctor's office and you're in the waiting room and you grab a magazine, and it's a page, it's a spellbinder. You're on the edge of your seat because every page is filled with stuff that's interesting
you're
to
interested.
you. Yeah, you see.
I do. I do.
Google Russell Emini. We came up on the first page of Google. I wonder why. I don't know. But that was not why I did it. There was some enormous number that far outweighed the S&P. I should have mailed it to myself. All right, well, while you're doing the recap, I'll see if I can find it. Wow,
Okay.
If you click on the news page, you get our old article from 2016. I guess there's not much news out on the Russell because we're still on the news page. Russell Index returning to the CME and bringing a few new friends. What did I mean by that?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't either. Let me see. The reported purchase price for the Russell was $2.7 billion. That's still not the point I was trying to make. All right, well, you go ahead and do your thing, and maybe I'll find it, maybe I won't.
Okay.
Adios.
All right. Well, here we go. Excuse me. Good afternoon, everyone. Today is Monday, the 26th. It's Tuesday, the 26th day of June 2018. Right up here, we have the homepage of CFRN.net. If you want to take a free trial with us, if you haven't taken one in the last 6 months and you want to take one, go to the homepage of CFRN.net. Right over here, it says apply.cfrn.net. Apply for the free trial. Or you can go down and click on any of these big green buttons that says free 5-day trial. Use our proprietary indicator is free. And I think there's another one way down here at the bottom. Start free trial, no credit card required. You can click on any one of those buttons and it's going to bring you to this page. Okay, on this page, all we ask for is your email, your first name, how you found us. Click on the submit button. Once you hit that submit button, you'll be sent a confirmation link. You must click on the confirmation link. Okay, if you don't click the confirmation link, you don't get a free trial because we don't know you took the trial until you click on that link. Okay, so you got to click on that link. I posted in here in the questions section a link to the meeting that we'll be hosting here in about 45 minutes this afternoon. I'll be going over other trade setups that we don't typically do in the morning session. There's 4 of them, and I'll be going over those this afternoon at 1:15 p.m. Eastern. Anybody can go to that meeting. It starts at 1:15 p.m. Eastern. Okay. Now, I'm gonna find our spreadsheet here. Where is the spreadsheet? Here it is. All right. If you're going to read the spreadsheet, you got to read all the CFTC risk disclosures down at the bottom. And let me scroll down. So we had kind of a slow morning this morning. We got our goal for the day and all that, but we still had a slow morning. All right. As I said, today is the 26th day of June 2018. We made 10 ticks in crude and 1 tick in gold to get us to plus 110 on the morning. Today it took 61 minutes and 4 trades to get to the goal for the day. At that point, we're up $100 a contract. We took a total of 5 trade opportunities. So on the month now, we're at 2,061. That's over 15 days, averaging 137 per day. That's 1 contract, 2 hours per day. On the year now, we're at 18,961. That's over 115 days, averaging 164 per day. 164 per day. Okay. That's all that stuff. Now let's go over what we did or didn't do. In gold, we only had this one opportunity here that we took. We got 1 tick profit on that. It looks like in the pre-market, there was a shot right there that would have gotten the goal for the day. There was another one here that we missed that did not give anything. And that pretty much looks like all there was today. So gold did not have a whole bunch going on. Okay. The euro, there was a short right here that we missed. There was another here that we got to break even on. Along here that we missed, along there that we missed, and then it just got choppy in here. Looks like right here there was a shorting opportunity, but lower highs, lower lows. Wasn't lower than this low though. That's what we need to see next. We need to see a break below this level right here. Okay, but the euro is going pretty quiet right now. Crude oil. Let's see. We started out with a break even here on crude. Okay, then another break even on crude. Then the market really started to trend. We jumped in here. We took 10 ticks profit. It gave another 10 ticks right here. I know some guys stayed in for the whole ride, but I was just trying to get the goal for the day here. And we did right there. And it changed directions and it started moving up here, but we didn't have a trade set up that we could do right in here. Okay, because this would have been a momentum trade going in dynamic resistance that had not been broken. There was a close up above the trend line right there for a leg up. And over here, there was nothing because the slingshot was not giving it up. There was one trade right there that we missed close to the end of the day. Now, I tried to get into that, but I didn't get filled. Let's see. There was a long right there. A short off the BBC here. This is all during the break. There was a short off the BBC there. There would have been a short right there. Switch directions again. Put in a higher swing, pulled back. I have to draw a trend line. I can't tell just by eyeballing it. Close up above the trend line right there for that leg up. Yeah. And a long right there. So crude has been moving around a lot. Putting in higher highs right here. It would have had a long right there going into the high of the day. Oops. There, that's better. Okay, on the ES, we had nothing today. See, it made this leg up here early on. Actually, there was a short right here that I missed going down. Then I made that leg up, but see that leg down and that leg back up? It was just some rapid movement for the ES. There was a bounce off the BBC right there that I missed. Then the black step line crossed up above, disqualifying anything in there. And I'm just looking across this mess here. It was it was a slow grind down is what it was right here. And a slow grind back up. This is the high of the day. Okay, so the high of the day is right up there. Anyway, that was it. We didn't do anything with the ES today. Okay, didn't do a thing with the ES. Let's just take a quick look at these markets. Back this out. Crude oil was a good trending market today. So we'll look at crude oil in more detail in the 1:15 session that I'm doing today. Okay. All right. Now back here to the spreadsheet. If you're going to read the spreadsheet, you read all the CFTC risk disclosures down at the bottom. Today is the 26th day of June, 2018. We made 10 ticks in crude and 1 tick in gold to put us at plus 110 on the morning. So it took 61 minutes and 4 trades to get to goal for the day, and we took a total of 5 trade opportunities. On the month now, we're at $2,061. That's over 15 days, averaging 137 per day. On the year, we're at 18,961. That's over 115 days, averaging 164 per day. 164 per day. Okay, and that's it. Oh, wait, nope, I gotta go here. Hang on. If you have not taken a free trial with us, go to the home page at CFRN.net, and there's several places where you can take the free trial. Right here, it says apply.cfrn.net. You can do it there. You can click the free 5-day trial down there. Use proprietary indicators. You can click there. Any one of those is going to bring you to this page. And on this page, all I ask for is your email, your first name, and how you found us. Hit that submit button, and you'll be sent a confirmation link. Okay, you must click on the confirmation link. If you don't click the confirmation link, we don't know that you took the free trial. Okay. Okay. And that is that. With that, I can pass it back out to fabulous Phoenix, Arizona, Studio A overlooking South Mountain, America's largest city park. Dwayne, if you are ready.
Yes. Little buddy, I'm ready.
Okay. Excellent.
I had a boss that used to call me that. I used to hate it. Little buddy. It's like, I'm not your little buddy.
Little buddy. That's Gilligan.
Oh, yeah. We were talking about Gilligan yesterday because I first started thinking about money and what it really represents when I saw Gilligan, because he did not have suitcases of money like Thurston Howell III.
Yeah, like Thurston.
Yeah, a 3-hour cruise, I only need
Livy.
2 suitcases of cash.
Lovey. Lovey, that was her name.
That was Levy.
Yeah, Lovey.
Yeah, and I'm going to venture to say there's people in this audience today. I know it's the Christian Financial Radio Network, but I'm sure there's a couple people that probably had some not so innocent thoughts about Ginger and Marianne because they wore skimpy clothing on daytime TV, and that was pretty cutting edge back then, I must say. A movie star. It's amazing how everybody stayed in character. The movie star, the farm girl, the professor, and Marianne. What a great show, man. Wish they'd bring it back.
Yep, it was. They should.
Yeah. So I scanned through a whole lot of stuff, and I couldn't find that Russell article. Obviously, it can't be the volume. That's not the answer that I'm looking for because while it has volume, make it a Russell chart. Oh no, it's not ER. Boy, that was a step back in time. RTY, yeah, and then insert volume. This is how we do it. Volume. So the average daily volume looks like on the Russell, we could probably peg it at about 150,000. Back when you and I used to trade it in another lifetime, I think the average daily volume was like 80 to 100. So it hasn't grown that much. So what could have been that incredible standout statistic if it's not volume, if it's not percentage increase on the year? I'll have to get back to you on that. But it was certainly interesting enough that I brought it up right here on the live radio. So what is your recap of the recap?
Today, it took 61 minutes and 4 trades to get to $100 per contract.
It did not.
It did. It did indeed.
Well, congratulations. Ringing a bell. Good job.
Thank you.
Good job. For billionaire investors, a few billionaire investors, I wish these ads have become so invasive, especially on mobile devices. Few billionaire investors have been so vocal and bullish on Bitcoin and cryptocurrency price appreciation as Tim Draper, the founder of venture capital firm Draper Fisher Jurvetson. The Street sat down with Draper, that's thestreet.com, at the Collision Tech Conference and chatted with him, and he had some interesting things to say. Regulations need to be reined in and made clear. Now this guy, he's sort of a big shot. The governments of the world are in competition for us now, and the best of them are creating very clear and light touch regulations for crypto. Cryptocurrencies are the next big technological tectonic shift, and governments have to weigh their need to protect investors with their need to be included in this potential economic powerhouse that is crypto. I believe crypto will overtake fiat in the next 5 to 7 years. I hold a lot of cryptos, blah blah, and then he gets down to his interesting prediction, which is what I really wanted to. I expect that since cryptocurrencies will increase the velocity of money, the current $86 trillion global market for currency will grow to about $140 trillion in the next 10 years, and that growth will be in crypto. In fact, I estimate that fiat currencies will actually decrease in use and the crypto will become as much as a $100 trillion of that market. I expect Bitcoin to be about 10% of that market, or 10 trillion. There's a lot of room to grow. And then he says, price-wise, we will continue. First he says, I have no interest in selling my Bitcoin. What would I sell it into anyway? Moving from crypto to fiat is like trading shells for gold. It's reverting to the past. I'm thinking long term, I'll use it, spend it, invest it, or just keep it. Price-wise, this is Draper talking, we'll continue to see Bitcoin move higher. I've revised my estimate up to $250,000 4 years out. So we'll see Bitcoin trading around the $250,000 mark in 2022. That's that's quite a move over the next 4 years to 2022. I mean, it's not the first time I've heard those kind of numbers, but it's the first time they've come from someone who's as respected and rational as this gentleman is. When McAfee was running around, with that $500,000 target, you couldn't quite forget that he's also the same guy that was on the lam, running from hotel to hotel, making secretive phone calls that somebody was, following him and chasing him and trying to kill him. And then all of a sudden they weren't. It was like, the party's over and it's time to go home. So he says he has to stop promoting ICOs, otherwise the SEC, it's another conspiracy. The SEC is going to take him out if he doesn't stop promoting them. He was getting paid $100,000, I think, to send out a couple of tweets for an ICO. Draper says, I would suggest that the SEC and Donald Trump think about making Bitcoin a national currency, as Japan has done, and next creating very light touch but clear regulation. I just spoke to the Federal Reserve. I felt like I should tell them they should start looking for a new job. Not immediately, but over the next 10 years. I just don't think we'll have much need for centralized currency. Maybe he doesn't realize how evil those people really are at the Fed. And I'm sorry, some of you, maybe don't believe that, but that's not a conspiracy. That is a fact. Now, I'm sure there's plenty of nice people, boots on the ground, rank and file people that work there. I'm talking about the people who own the Federal Reserve. Well, nobody owns it. It's the government. No, it's not the government. So don't say that on this radio program. We'll have to ask you to leave. Okay? Thank you.
John is out in the audience.
Oh, very good. Would you open his mic because I know you got to
Sure.
do did you put the link in the chat box?
I did. I did.
All right.
And there's John.
Hello, John. Welcome to the show.
Hi there, thanks. Listen, this Draper guy, I mean, he's a pretty smart dude. He did buy a lot of Bitcoin. That's the one I introduced you to a while back, remember?
Yes.
He bought a lot from this government auction at a discount, a huge discount. So, he's done very well. But look, this Bitcoin stuff, and, there was a fellow on yesterday, he's, I think, a lot more on the money. He said there's another 200 days of pain in Bitcoin, and I tend to agree with him, because if you go back and look at the history of Bitcoin, it's had a habit of basing for a long time, sort of getting everybody kind of thinking there's not going to go up anymore. I mean, honestly, when Draper bought the Bitcoin, it seemed like a kind of a crazy idea.
Yeah.
But it turned out to be a fantastic trade. And it's sort of like, what I said a long time ago about interest rates. They tend to go, they tend to be low for 15 to 20 years, and then they have a big run up. And that's what's going to happen with Bitcoin in a smaller time frame. Just the same as it sort of based out for a year or more, or a couple of years before it took off. It took off, had a run up, then it came down, then it based out, took off, and then had run up. So, I wouldn't rule out new highs, but look, it probably means we're not going to see the bottom in Bitcoin until about a year from now, or sometime early next year. And and he made a very good point. All these funds, you got to realize that just like anything else, it's just like all these funds were formed, what basically pushed just the price up to 20,000. With the money was raised to buy Bitcoin, that's why it went up. And now all these people are in at the top holding the bag, and they're facing pretty catastrophic losses, 50, 60% or more in a lot of these funds. And the lockup, a lot of these funds are locked up for a year, so they can't sell.
Right.
But the lockups are coming off now, which means there's going to be massive redemptions. And that's going to put a lot of weight on the Bitcoin. So it certainly makes my 4,000 target look more likely, and it might even be worse than that. So and it'll probably take a long time to base out. Could it be like gold, where it runs up to a new high again? It could do, but I think these this talk about going to 250,000 stuff like that, it's just absolutely. It's like going to Mars. Never going to go to Mars, not in our lifetime.
Yeah, well,
because
we hear people
you
talking
can't
about
you can't get there. You can't get to Mars.
How many years have people been preaching $50,000 gold? We haven't seen that.
Well, it's Jim Sinclair, who I know personally. He came out yesterday or the day before, over the weekend, says that gold's going to go to $50,000 an ounce. I wouldn't rule that out either, but I certainly think it's going to go to eight to 10,000, somewhere in that range, in the next, before the end of Trump's second term. So but could it go to 50,000? Yeah, gold could go to 50,000. And if there was he thinks there's going to be a war with China, that's a bit extreme, but you can never say never. But when you look at, these are the elephants in the room that nobody's paying attention to. Every single month, Russia is buying, like a ton of gold, between a half a ton and a ton of gold every month. China's buying untold amounts of gold. Why are they doing it? Because they know that the currencies are going to implode. Look at the Turkish lira. Look at the Venezuela. Do you think the U.S. dollar is immune from downturn? It's absolutely not. You can't. We're going to have we're having a good run with Trump, and we're probably going to. And I've got a personal indicator that gave me a bit of a scare a couple of days ago. I just noticed in this downturn that this particular thing has topped out. The last time I saw this top out was in 1997, and the market top came 3 years later. So we're going to have a market top within the next 3 years for sure, and probably an economic top in 21, 22, and then we're probably going to run into trouble, and it could be a big one. We're probably going to have a pretty big downturn in 22, probably by 22, 21, 22, 23. At that time, you'll probably see a pretty big pull back in the Dow, maybe down to single digits, like 9, 10,000, something like that. And you'll see gold up around the same. Go 1 for 1. You have this happens every cycle. The Dow and the gold get to be the same price, and that's definitely on the cards. Now it'll be a higher bottom than 2009, but nevertheless, I'm very very confident there's a very sharp drop coming at the end of this run up for whatever reason. And it might only be a fleeting moment. We might just go south of 10,000 for a day or two, or not much longer, and then we can bounce back up. We could go down to 10,000 in some sort of a scare, and we could be back up at 15 or 16, in the same month. So
that's very true. The run-ups can happen. They happen overnight. You're like, what happened? I took a nap, and this thing's like $2,000. It's like yesterday. Look,
for a while, it looked like it was really starting to get pretty shaky around about 3 o'clock or so yesterday. And I actually said, be ready for last, half-hour rally. And if this, I basically said, if we don't rally in the last half hour, it's not going to be good. Well, we put in the rally, and we're building on that rally quite impressively so far. But I'm not sure if there's another, if anything slightly negative comes out, we could easily go down and test this bottom that we put in yesterday and possibly take it out to some degree. Because we haven't really put in a very good bottom so far. Although I did say it kind of might look like a spike, and in a way, the gold. This morning they knocked the palladium right down to the 928 or somewhere like that, and it looked pretty grim. All the metals this morning, but you remember I said yesterday, this platinum, it looks like it's going to come in and start a rebound from here. And look, the gold and silver were making new lows this morning, then they turned and bang, they're actually looking pretty good right now.
Yeah, but you see what just happened, John? If you can see my chart, gold just ran up and hit our weekly. This is actually this week's weekly trading zone, guys. I put it up early because I wanted to show you this 63.64, and you see how I put that doji right there, or shooting star, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah,
right,
I know, it's bad.
The weekly zone. That tells me I think we're going to go at least back to test these lows at 57. Hey, maybe that's enough. Maybe that's enough to do the trick. I don't know.
Well, the one thing, look, there's a couple of things that have changed. First of all, the dollar did bounce this morning, but if it got down real low this morning, and the weird thing was the gold wasn't responding. It was kind of going down with the dollar, which is kind of crazy. But if the dollar suddenly goes down, I think that'll help the gold a lot. I don't disagree with you that we got another test coming. In fact, it could, could even go down to 1250 or even lower possibly. But
the lowest zone for the week on gold is 1230/31. And not saying that we expect to go there, but that's expected to go in your lower.
It's not acting very well. But look, with the palladium's up 17 now, and it's 22. How about that? It just jumped from up 17 to 22. I don't think you can keep the gold down with that happening.
That's the power of CFRN. You speak it.
Yeah.
And it happens.
So the palladium is really, really a big deal today, and that is a leading indicator for the metals. I think that I'm definitely not too bearish on the gold anymore with that palladium going on.
John, look,
also,
here, I drew fibs from this swing high down to this swing low, right? These are 30-minute candles, and it turns out the 38% reverse fib is right inside of that area where the market turned at 63.64. So I mean, that's I just now noticed that. So that's a twofold reason that this could go back to test the low. But we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, I think the gold. Look, I was impressed with the rally this morning, and I'm super impressed with the palladium rally. So and we started looking like maybe the beginnings of a bull market here in the metals. So as and in all honesty, the markets look, they're still kind of they're a little bit lethargic today, these markets, and the drug stocks aren't doing so well either. So but I think they're going to kind of work their way higher. They're going up really slowly today. I mean, we're only up 49 points on the Dow. It's not that big a deal. The one area that is on fire is the energy. Remember, I said it's going to probably rally into July 4th, and sure enough,
that's quite a rally right there. And that's also, guys, this week's trading zone, 70.40. This one down here, which was 68.25/30. Look at how many hours we consolidated at the zone, and that's the primary thing we expect to happen. Then a leg and a retrace to test it for good support, and then off we go. We hit the next zone overhead, this week's zone, and we just printed a doji on the 30-minute candle.
Yeah.
Yeah,
By the way,
that's-
my other remember I said the bottom was probably in down at the lows on coffee. We had a big move up here in the last couple of days on coffee, and even though it's pulled back right now, I would be even ready to rebuy it here before the close, because there's something making this go up. It's gone from 115 to 119 and a half in just a few days. However, it kind of looks like we might come down and retest that bottom. So that's it, after a flying start today, it's under a bit of pressure, and unless you want to take out a frost insurance, you might, if we flip back up on the coffee before the close, I'd probably want to go home long on the coffee. So
those markets that you talk about, what do they call them? The softs, coffee,
yeah,
sugar,
soft.
all of these things.
Yeah.
Different people that I've spoken with over the years. I've never traded in those markets at all, but I'm told that the spreads can be tough, and the fills can be tough, and that it's almost kind of like a shady backstreet market.
No, it is. It's not an easy market to trade by any means, but I've had to go through some pain here in the last few days. But I had a strong conviction this coffee was going to go up. It did. We got out near the highs this morning, and no, I'm pretty happy so far. I'm looking to rebuy it if it tells me to. So.
Does it take? Do you need a special broker to trade in the softs, or can
No,
the futures broker handle it?
Just regular. Any broker can handle it.
Okay.
So, and look, the other thing is, the gold stocks are acting very good today. They opened lower and they turned right on. I knew this was going to happen today. They opened lower, and they literally went up from the lows. It was kind of a key reversal, like it's a very good sign of a bottom when the market opens lower and turns around and goes higher. And Royal Gold is, if you look at the chart, you'd think gold was like at 1400, not 1200, the way Royal Gold is going. So when the gold stocks are leading the way, things are not too bad on the gold. I still think the gold should be performing better given the way the gold stocks are going, but nevertheless, gold's not doing too badly right now.
This move in crude, what I said earlier, it was a 2% move today. I got it right here. Crude. What is it right now? It's up $2.12. That's 3%. Now, the other day, we were down 4% that one day, not too long ago, or
we were
up 4%? Okay,
yeah.
So we've rebounded, we've come back. This is the first time we've been over $70, which we are at the moment in quite some time, right?
Yeah, I waited for this. I think I put a buy stop out at about 68.20 or 30 overnight, and it caught this move up real nice, and the same on the products, the gasoline and the heating oil. So it was a welcome surprise to be as strong as it is. It's pretty strong, this crude, and it probably, the market is very tight. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens tonight with the API report, and tomorrow, if the crude is as strong as, is as tight as the market might have us believe right now.
I didn't know this because I'm not always in the room on Wednesday mornings when the crude comes out, or on Tuesdays when they get those API numbers. But Michael has got, I needed to ask him about it. He looks at, what time do the API numbers come out? Is it 3:30? John?
Say again?
The API numbers, what time do they come out?
I think they come out at 4 o'clock or 4:30, sometime like that.
It must be 4, because Michael looks at the last candle printed on the futures, and based upon that, he has a methodology. It's not something that we teach people to trade, but it's just something that he's used. He looks at the last, when the API numbers come out, he looks at how crude moves in that last 15-minute period of time. And then if the inventory numbers come out in line with the API, it's sort of like you've already got the path laid for you. How well it works, I haven't had a chance to talk to him. I was running the room the other day, and somebody in the room, or in the workshop, somebody mentioned it to me. And I go, wow, news to me. And we hang out with every day. Gary says it comes at 4:30. Okay. And Karen says it comes at 4:30. 4:30 Eastern. So, well, futures close at 4:15. But then they reopen. All right. Either way, I'll have Michael talk about it tomorrow when he does the recap. So this move up in crude, the Concierge Trade Alert was to be long 68.80, and it took us up $600 per contract to 70.40. No, wait, I got that wrong. 68.80. 69.80 is a grand. Oh, I'm sorry, $1,600 per contract. I got both of those numbers wrong. That's an incredibly, for me, crude has been sort of lackluster here of late, but that's a $1,600 move, and so from the zone 68.30 to 70.40, that's a $2,000 per contract move, not a one. You know, guys, crude is, it can be difficult to trade. It can be volatile. You know, it's a racehorse. But if you can handle the volatility, you should take a look at it when it's moving. You know, but when it's doing this, it's just gonna make you crazy. And I'm gonna tell you now, if you sit and stare at every little tick and your stomach turns, you know, you're long and you get a red candle, and if it makes you a little bit nauseous, you got to stop that, because it's not good for your health. It's not good for your eyes. I know that I have damaged my eyes over the years because I have these different sized monitors that have different resolutions, and so when I look up at the big, you know, monitor on the wall, my eyes have to adjust to that, and then when I look down at the smaller monitors on my desktop, my eyes, it's like a camera focusing and refocusing all day. It's not just one person sitting staring at a computer. That's bad enough on your eyes, but these screens, I just know it's caused an issue. And I went to the eye doctor a long time ago, and he said nothing wrong with your eyes, it's just how you're using them. So I said, well, I don't know how to change that. So anyway, so that was crude. Now, I read some. Maybe you'll know what the answer to this is. I spotted a headline and started reading an article the other day. Something about the Russell 2000, and there was some astronomical figure, some statistic attached to it that far overshadowed the Dow, the S&P. It's certainly not volume. It's not percentage of price increase. Do you have any idea what that might have been? Because I just tried to search and find the article. Okay, Russell just posted this. Crude, the API numbers, 4:30 Eastern. Michael looks at the final bar before the release and has found Wednesday's numbers tend to gravitate back to the 415 range. Okay, thank you very much, Russell, for posting that. So, guys, there it is right there. The final bar before the release of the API. On Wednesday, he looks to see that gravitate back to the 415 range. So how well that works, I don't know. Ask him tomorrow. Pop into the live training room or at the beginning of the radio show if you have a question on that, because tomorrow is crude inventory day. It's always on Wednesday, 10:30 a.m. Eastern, unless there's a holiday on Monday, and then they push it to Thursday. Okay, so in fact, the Russell, this is a daily. The Russell's back here. Wow, the Russell's got a nice rally going today. Look at that.
Yeah, it's really powerful.
That's
this thing.
Yeah, quite. Let's see where we had people getting long last night by 1669. That was the Concierge Trade Alert. So, and mark that 1669. That's you know, I miss the days of the Russell paying $100 a point. It was like the crack cocaine of futures markets. We quit trading it because it became dangerous for me because at the time I had no idea what I was up to. So we went from 1669 up to 71. So, there's a couple points. I guess it's not, there's more than that. It's got to be 77. Okay, that sounds right. 77. So we went from 69 to 77. So that's 8 points. That's $400 per contract available. But if you're trailing a stop, the way we teach, you won't get out at the swing high or the swing low. You'll leave a little bit on the table. John, do you trade to a hard target or do you trail stops? How do you handle that?
No, I just let the market take me until it's time to get out, until the market says get out. So
right. Now the NQ is kind of subdued compared to the Russell.
The which?
The NQ. It's just.
Oh, the Nasdaq. No, the Nasdaq's doing all right today. It's pretty strong.
It's got this area to take out most, and the Dow. Let's see about the Dow. But the Dow really spiked that lowest. No, actually, there's another zone below. But that was what I want to point out on the Russell. The Russell came down just like the S&P. It tagged our lowest. That's the lowest weekly trading zone for the Russell this week. No, I take that back. That's the lowest zone. I put that in the wrong. No, I didn't. I got to get new glasses. Yeah, 52.53. That is the lowest weekly zone this week for the Russell, and we came down and hit it right to the tick. So that's encouraging to see that bounce. You bounce from 53 to 67. That's 14 points. That's $700 per contract. So again, some of the partners trade zone to zone. There it was coming down, turned right around, ran you right back up. Not unusual to see that. So what else is happening, John? What else is important? What do we need to keep an eye on?
The platinum is just popped to a new high a minute ago, so that's kind of a little bit of a more positive for gold. And it feels to me like, in spite, look, we might have a bit of a pullback if we kind of if we get another buy on gold here. We don't have one yet. Then I think you got to go for it just in case, because I can see this is the way these bottoms tend to get formed. When you get especially the palladium's kind of doing what the Russell is doing, and when that happens, look, there's some options expiration going on today as well. I think as soon as that's over, there could be some buying in the gold as well. So that's. But if we get back up to 1650 or so on the silver, up to 895 on the platinum, 885. Sorry. It's going to look a lot more like a bottom. 1275 on gold would be good levels to sort of make the whole thing look more like a bottom. But there may be more work to do this week, and we still got to get through the next week's holiday. So I don't think I don't think the gold's going to do anything really drastic or dramatic, possibly for another week or two.
Okay. Do we have any major economic news coming out this week?
Well, that's the one thing that might pop the gold. If we get a weak number, maybe the jobs report comes in 10 or 20,000 higher, that might jump. That could easily pop the gold up $10, $15, $20.
Is that this Friday?
Thursday. Should come out Thursday. Thursday, yeah.
Let me put this on this week and then scroll down there and let's take a look.
And it might, because the bonds have been, we might just be in for some sort of a negative surprise economically. We've had some statistics come out lower than expected recently, so it's quite possible there might be a bit of a slowing in the economy or something that could cause that.
Thursday. Yeah, here we go. Okay, we got quite a few reports. High impact. We got GDP comes out Thursday.
Is that for the second quarter or the first quarter?
It says for the first quarter.
What is it? The final GDP?
Well, it's got GDP quarter over quarter. Then there's GDP price index, and there's GDP sales. But the only one that's a high impact, because they put the little three steer heads up there, is the GDP quarter over quarter, first quarter, and what that is, the gross domestic product measures the annualized change in the inflation-adjusted value of all goods and services produced by the economy. It's the broadest measure of economic activity and the primary indicator of the economy's health. Released monthly. There are 3 versions of GDP released a month apart: advance, second release, and final. Both the advance, the second release are tagged as preliminary in the economic calendar. You know, this one doesn't say preliminary, so
I think it's final.
It must
I
be
think
the
we've
final.
we've had 2 already. This
Okay.
one is the final.
All right. So how big is that jobs number? Because also Germany puts out their employment numbers. We have continuing jobless claims, but that's not a high impact. The ones out of Germany really aren't even high impact. Now there's a European Union Leaders Summit, whatever that becomes. That's happening on Thursday as well. And then tomorrow, I know we have crude inventories, and that appears to be there's pending home sales tomorrow. That might be an interesting number. And it's the only high impact. No, core durable goods comes out tomorrow. That's high impact. And the Bank of England Governor Carney speaks, and that is a high impact event. That happens at 4:30 a.m. Eastern. This is why I use the investing.com calendar, because you need to know if you're going to trade Globex, if you're trading, markets like that can be affected by this. You need to know, just like you need to know if Fed announcement's coming, you need to know when these other events are coming. So, yeah, and just encourage all of you new partners, all of you that are new to trading. I know it seems overwhelming and like so much stuff, but the economic calendar, while we don't trade fundamentally, we want to know when the news event is, not so we can trade it, but so we can be flat. Because otherwise, for me, it's like gambling. Sometimes you get it right, sometimes you get it wrong. I'd rather just step aside, and it goes back to plain vanilla. What I understand: leg retrace until there's not another leg. That I can handle. So, okie doke. Anything else, John?
No, listen, thanks very much for the invite.
Okay, on the
We'll catch
Dow,
up later.
check this out right before you go. You see this? We had a run up in the Dow earlier from this weekly zone, and we're approaching it again. And that's either gonna be a bullish sign if we break through and take out this high, or it's gonna send us back down into this area here where price has just been oscillating back and forth, which it will do. The zone becomes like a center of gravity. Okay, my friend, take care,
Thanks,
and
sir.
we'll see you tomorrow.
Okay, much obliged.
Bye-bye. Okay, guys, let me take care of the microphone. There we go. Okay. All right, so we walked through several of the markets already. Let's see what's going on. The Dow, last night's email said to consider buying 24,340. 24,340. I have to pull that down because there's a go-to thing over here that you can't see, I guess. I guess people on YouTube can see it, but the go-to people can't see it. So 24,340. Boy, that's cutting it pretty close. 24,340. So we didn't have much room for price appreciation there. And no, it still didn't get a new mouse. I don't get out much. Maybe I'll have Amazon bring me one. 24,340, and the swing high has been like 56. And now 63 on this candle. So yeah, not much there. On the downside, we wanted to sell if we had the opportunity. 24,235. The swing low 216. We had about 15 points up here and about 15 points down here. That's it. Not a lot. But you got to take what the market will hand you. Now it's trying to take out this high. Remember, if it only takes it out by a couple ticks or a couple points, there's no ticks in the Dow, then we're a little suspicious of it. Yeah. On the other hand, if it can really break through, we don't want to chase it. You know, like once it gets to this point, okay, yeah, it's serious. Let's jump on board. No, don't do that, because if it breaks through convincingly, let me just say what I would wait for. This is what I would be interested, and it takes patience. Okay, let it make its move. You know, let's say this candle were to stretch all the way up to here. Yeah, or perhaps you even get follow through. Okay, I'm definitely jumping in on this candle. How about letting it pull back, and what was a good resistance, let that become support, and then when it begins its journey back up to deal with the sellers that are here, there's probably space in here for you to get your goal for the day if you haven't got it yet. Follow me? This area here. Okay. Now, when buyers fail to move higher here, now they've created an obstacle. Sellers dig a trench and they're ready. They're sitting there, and you know you're going to run into them. And if they're convinced they can take it down, they might come in early. A number of things can happen, but this is a little window of opportunity. But that requires being patient and waiting for this. I know we've all chased a trade. Oh man, I was waiting all morning, and now it's going to get away from me. I got to jump on board. And it's amazing how when you jump on board, you hear those steel wheels screech, and it starts backing up. Whoop, whoop, and you go, no, not again. We're all convinced early on in the trading career that we have the uncanny ability to pick the bottom and the top of every market and trade it in the opposite direction, or the wrong direction. It's not a conspiracy. Your office is not bugged. I can teach you why it happens and how to stop it from happening if you want to learn. Okay, just become a partner and I'll teach you, just like I teach all the other partners. Okay. Now this should stand out to you, I would hope. From 1667 down to 1652, that's 15 Russell points, $750 per contract. Now this was the concierge alert yesterday, came all the way down. I'm talking about just the zone to zone part, but this is also an example of when you have the trade alert and you have the zone. See, this becomes a trade to target. And then when you realize that this move is a continuation move and price gets down about here, you go to your smaller time frame and you find an entry that takes you right into the end zone. And when this, now you're flat, this thing leaves this huge wick behind it. Want to write again? You can write it down, you can write it back up, you can write it back down. Didn't quite make it this time. That happens. You know, buyers who created this, what do they do here? They came in early. They didn't want to wait for it to get all the way down here, because if they wait down here, they might miss out. So they step in early. We hit this area, which partners have known since 6:15 a.m. Eastern yesterday morning, and this won't change all week, that this would be an important price in an important area. Consolidation there, here, resistance. Now we had a little consolidation, but now we've traded through it. Okay. On the NQ. On the NQ, last night's email said consider buying 70.94. Well, because it's the NQ, that actually has some value. Let's find it real quick. 70.94. It's not the straightest of lines. So where are we? 70.94. Okay. Got to push it up here. 70.94. Okay. Now on this first trigger, you had a pretty good drawdown. The swing high from 94 went up to 12. Okay, so that's 18. That's. I should probably open this up so that you can see it better. Okay. On this candle we trigger, and on this candle we run up, and then we close back below. Okay. From the entry at 70.94 up to the swing high at 70.12. That's 18 NASDAQ points at $20 per point. So what kind of looked like nothing because of the way I had it scaled was actually the market made $360 per contract available. And over here we've got a high of 71.30, so that's going to be 36. Call it 35 times 2, $700 per contract available. Now, I will tell you that the NQ is a bit jittery, and so if you don't tame it with a larger time frame, there's just too much noise, and you'll just get stopped out endlessly, over and over and over. Now, what a beautiful picture this is. Okay, price comes down to the zone, yeah. Sunday night Globex open, comes down to the zone and walks it. A leg and a retrace and a leg, just enough to close that gap. Remember yesterday we were talking about those gap purists? We come back to the zone. Each candle is 30 minutes. I mean, how little could price move in 30 minutes? It's like nothing. But then look at how far crude can move, price can move, in a 30-minute candle. If you took all of these and stacked them on top of each other, well, they might be about as tall as this candle. There's an old saying, never sell a sleeping market. Now, I know that sleeping markets are markets that are coiling. I call it consolidation, but it's like a spring tightening. And pretty soon, you get an explosive move in one direction or the other. And I would advise not to marry yourself to either side. Just, stay limber. Stretch before you trade. Stay limber and go with the market. Don't go with your opinion. Don't go with your bias. Go with the market. And what a beautiful thing from the zone. And now this is where having the Concierge Trade Alerts, it allows you to triangulate this thing. Because we know that once it leaves a zone, it's going to try to go to the zone above. Or if it leaves in this direction, it's going to attempt the zone below. So as it's making the move, it goes right up through the trade alert at 68.80 and hits the zone where it prints a doji, and you say, well, that was nice, I'm going to get out. Now, if you use the trade alert, $1,600 per contract available, but we don't get out at the swing high or swing low. Here's the swing high. If you were back here trailing, once you saw that doji, you might have decided to just push your stop loss right up against that zone and let the market just take you out. This move took 90 minutes, okay, right here. From the trigger, a little less than 90. But the thing you have to remember is this candle was back and forth and back and forth and back and forth And it was back and forth. And then you had that over here, back and forth, and back and forth, and back and forth. If you stare at every little tick, you know, unless you're trading in such a fashion that you only take a couple trades a day, you get your goal, and you walk, which is what we teach, then you probably do want to watch pretty closely. But if you're attempting to swing trade or position size trade, whatever, you gotta learn to get up and walk away. Okay. Now, this traveled a pretty good distance, but it took 90 minutes. Yeah, there's flash crashes and there's rallies that come out of nowhere. But as long as you have a hard target and a hard stop, you know what the best case scenario is, and you know what the worst case scenario is. Imagine a person who, when it pulled back to the zone last night, decided to get long, and then set up all night watching this thing tick back and forth in this very narrow range. You know, that's painful. You gotta figure out a better way. And let me just say, I don't bring up the names of other companies and products and knock them, but the mind always goes to the automated strategy. When I first started trading futures, first thing I did was I went over to TradeStation and coded myself up some automated, lots of smarter men and women have come before me and have attempted automation. And while you can curve fit it and make it look good with a specific data set, I've never seen it happen. I mean, really happen. Yeah, I know there's some guys out there that publish some results, and this is what we did, last month. Oh, wow, that's pretty awesome. How's this month? Well, this month, it's a pre-holiday month. Oh, okay. How about the month before? Well, we were, doing some curve fitting. Oh, yeah, that'll keep you busy. So be careful. I'm not going to knock it if you road test it. If you get to try it before you buy it, and it's profitable for you, then I don't ever want to get in the way of that. Just saying. We talked about gold coming back down to test this low. What happened? Gold sold off. We put in an interim bottom. Little wicks here to the downside to kind of show you the way. A doji. These are 30-minute candles too. Leg and a retrace and a leg. Right into the pocket. Right into the zone. And you see how the top of this candle is right where the bottom of this candle is. Okay? There's such incredible symmetry in the market if you start to see it. At first it looks like chaos. Makes no sense. But over time you begin to see the elegant beauty that's kind of hidden from plain sight. But it's hiding in plain sight. Now, is it possible buyers might come in early to try to run this up again? Is this just an up leg and a downtrend? And if you ask 10 different traders, you probably could get 10 different answers. And one of them will probably be correct. Our take on it is, we know this is the low. We know that buyers could come in as early as here. So we're not going to just park an order and wait for it to come down and fill us on a limit. We're going to let it come down, do its little bottoming trick, its transition like this, right? And then when we see evidence, leg, retrace. All right, let me catch this final 2 points into the zone, 61 to 63. Bang. So rather than trying to catch the falling knife, just let it fall. Don't let it stick in your foot, right? And then ride it back up. Unless that's not what happens. Well, what if it doesn't bounce? What if it just keeps falling? Awesome. Let it take out this low, let it pull back and prove this area to now be good resistance. Take it down to the next zone. Which that would make for a very nice trade. That would be sweet. All right, we've covered it all. Back to the S&P. S&P. From the swing high to the swing low, we took out that 38%. We were talking about that a few minutes ago, right? We said resistance, 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 and there it is at the 50. Will that hold? Now look what the 38 did. From the 24 to the 38, it sent it back to the 24, which sent it back to the 38, which sent it back to the 24, which sent it back to the 38, which sent it back to the 24. And now the bulls have taken the ball and managed to move it upfield to the 50-yard line. What happens next? I don't know. If it closes above and pulls back and there's room to run to that 62, or these lows, if you're not a fib person, could be an opportunity there. You could also draw your fibs, not reverse fibs, but just plain old regular fibs, right? So if it doesn't make it through the 50, and if it pulls back, where might it land? Well, here's the 38 coming back the other way. That looks reasonable. The 50 looks very reasonable. The 50 is laying on top of the bigger picture, 24. Okay, that's it for today's Fun with Fibs. I don't have flags like Sheldon, so we have to do fibs. The show's on hiatus. Roseanne's coming back without Roseanne. It's called The Connors. And I'm wondering, what's his name? John Goodman. He's a good actor. I don't know if he can carry the show. The daughter, Darlene, she's a pretty good actress. And the sister, she's unique. It seems as if she was created for that role that she plays. Okay, let's go to our good word for the day. Again, if you missed yesterday's show, you can listen to it every day at youtube.com/CFRN. Yeah. And if you did not get your starter pack, go to investmentgrade.gold. Investmentgrade.gold. Okay. All right. Good word for the day. A multi-part series. The rewards of friendship. If you want to have a friend, you first must be a friend. Am I right? A real friend sticks closer than a brother. Proverbs 18:24. The Bible says that some friends may ruin you, but a real friend will be more loyal than a brother. Proverbs 18:24. Gloria Gaither. And if you don't know who the Gaithers are, you don't know gospel music. I grew up listening to that. Gloria Gaither points out that real friends are concerned about what you are becoming. They look beyond the present and care deeply about you as a whole person. Solomon writes this in Proverbs 18:24. A man who has friends must himself be friendly. And while building and maintaining that kind of friendship takes time and energy, the rewards far outweigh the investment. Now, you may have friends, and then you may have acquaintances, and then you may have real friends. Mark Twain said, if you die with 5 real friends after a long life, count yourself lucky. Think about it. How many real friends do you have? What's a real friend? I suppose they sit by your hospital bed, if you're sick or something. But the thing that always pops to mind for me is somebody calls you. It's rush hour traffic, and they tell you that they're broke down on the freeway, and you know that traffic jam is going to be an hour and a half to get to them. and then there's going to be cars whizzing by while you try to help them, and then another hour and a half in the traffic jam to get them home, or to the, yeah, you're already making up excuses why you can't do it, right? But a true friend will overlook the traffic jam, the inconvenience, dinner that's almost on the table, and just will say, yeah, buddy, I'm on my way. I'll call you right before we get there. I don't want to miss you. Okay. Bye. Oh, by the way, if it starts, call me. So, but you go and you don't think twice about it. And it's not like you owe me one, right? That's the kind of friend I'm talking about. The freeway friend. True friends give you a hand up when you're down. Ecclesiastes 4:9, 2 people are better off than one, for they can help each other. If one person falls in a ditch, the other can reach out and help them. But someone who falls alone is in real trouble. Now, I think women gravitate to this easier than men do, and ladies, that's a compliment. I think men sometimes have a problem bonding, and if they do bond, maybe it's sometimes over things that might best be left alone. True friends take the pressure off. No matter how much they love you and want to help, sometimes your family is just too close to be objective, and it's easier to open up to somebody you're not related to. At such times, the Bible says, the sweetness of a friend gives delight by hearty counsel. Proverbs 27:9. If you don't have that person in your life, men, and I'm sure the ladies probably do, but men, you need it too. Friends make you laugh. Somebody said, if you've no wrinkles, you haven't laughed enough. When a good laugh is just what the doctor ordered, friends can help you find humor in your situation, usually because they've been there. Hazel Lee says, laughing at ourselves as well as with each other brings a surprising sense of togetherness. And there's another old saying that a man who can laugh at himself will never run out of material. I think that's how it goes. And now number 4, true friends hold you accountable. This is a big one. Ever notice when you're acting contrary to God's word, it's easy to fool yourself? That's when the slap of a friend can be trusted to help you. God will do whatever it takes to get your attention. Proverbs 27:6. The slap of a friend can be trusted to help you. And who saw that viral video over the weekend of that priest slapping? He was trying to christen a baby. However they do that, sprinkle the water on the forehead. The priest was trying, and he was a pretty elderly priest, I guess. And he tried to hug the baby, he tried to talk to the baby, he tried to bounce the baby, and the baby just kept screaming. And he obviously the priest wanted to be somewhere else, I guess, because he finally just, I mean, you had to back the video up and make sure you really saw it, because his hand moves so, he's like Lightning McQueen or something. Man, it's like, he pops that baby. Well, they've I don't guess you fire a priest, but he's been put on a leave of absence or something. And everyone there on the video was pretty horrified. It was odd. You know how sometimes though that baby got on his last nerve, and he just couldn't take it. All right, hold you accountable. You ever notice when you're acting contrary to God's word, it's easy to fool yourself? That's when the slap of a friend, not a priest slapping your baby, the slap of a friend can be trusted to help you. So thank God for true friends who love you enough to be honest with you even when it hurts. And that's really the moral of the story of part 1. Okay? We all know about the booger on the nose thing. Sorry, probably the first time we ever said booger on CFRN, but it's been said now. Can't unsay it. Would you want someone to tell you or just let you walk around all day like that. Because someone who's not a true friend, they might, I don't want to embarrass him, he'll notice it soon enough. Yeah, after like 50 other people notice it. I mean, I know that's sort of a weak analogy, but it's one we've all heard. But it runs much deeper than that. I don't want to get involved in his business, and maybe you shouldn't. Sometimes we don't need to be getting involved in other people's business. But there's other times that if a person is a true friend, we will risk hurting their feelings. We will risk getting punched in the nose. We will even risk losing a friend to do what a friend should do, and that is hold you accountable and always be honest with you. Trust is one of the most valuable resources that we have in this lifetime. And once it's broken, you can patch it back together, but it's never the same. All right, that's going to do it, guys. Thanks so much for tuning in today. Whoever you are, wherever you are, may God continue to richly bless you with His mercy and with His grace. And I'll see you at the bell.
Remember this, there is no greater return on investment than to see a human life changed and given hope. As always, pray hard and trade safe. Any financial information discussed on this show is simply the opinion of our host, Dwayne Reeves, his co-hosts, and guests. To learn more about trading Emini Futures or to take a 1-week free trial in our live trading room, call 1-866-928-3310. 866-928-3310. Information discussed on this radio program should not be construed as a recommendation to buy or sell any security. Always do your own due diligence and consult with a licensed securities broker or financial planner before making any investment decision.